I thank the chairman. Mr. Horowitz, was Carter Page an operational contact for another federal agency?
He was.
Did the Department of Justice tell that? Did the Department of Justice and the FBI tell that to the FISA court when they went to get the FISA application on Mr. Page?
They did not.
They did not. Did an FBI lawyer doctor an email that was part of the FISA application to get this warrant on Carter Page?
Doctored an email that went to the affiant who swore out the FISA application.
Yeah.
The email itself wasn't part of the application.
Understand, but and the way it was doctored was not just doctored. They directly changed. It said it went from Carter Page was a source to Carter Page was not a source. Is that right?
Correct.
Directly the opposite meaning. And that became part of the basis to go to the court and get the warrant on Carter Page.
That was relied upon by the FBI agent who swore out the...
Now, I've seen correspondence between Christopher Steele, the guy who wrote the dossier that was taken to the court, correspondence between him and the Department of Justice, where he indicated to them that, to the Department of Justice, that he was desperate to stop Trump from becoming president. Did that get communicated to the FISA court when they were getting the warrant to spy on Carter Page?
It did not. He relayed that to Bruce Orr, who relayed it to the FBI.
Yep. I also know that the Clinton campaign paid the law firm Perkins Coie, who hired Fusion GPS, who hired Mr. Steele, who actually put together the dossier, as we just said. Did the fact that the Clinton campaign was paying for this operation, this dossier, did that get communicated to the FISA court?
That information did not.
Did not get communicated to the FISA court. How many false or misleading communications were made to the FISA court relative to the Carter Page?
We identified 17 significant omissions or inaccuracies in the report. That's not all of them. That's the 17 we thought were the most material.
So more than 17 times they misled the court.
We identified a bunch of instances of inaccuracies. I think I'd leave it to others to decide and the court to decide what was misleading or not to the court.
January 29, 2018, 2 years ago, Chairman of the House Intel Committee, Chairman Schiff, said that the FBI and DOJ officials did not abuse the FISA process. Is that an accurate statement, Mr. Horowitz?
Well, the department has submitted a letter to the court now that has been made public, where the department has determined that the last two FISAs at a minimum did not have and did not support probable cause.
Mr. Schiff also said on January 29, 2018, that the DOJ and FBI, quote, made only narrow use of information from Christopher Steele's sources about Carter Page's specific activities in 2016. Is that accurate?
I don't know the specific wording of what was said there, but as we reported, we found that the dossier, that the Steele reporting was central and essential to the application for the initial FISA and to the subsequent FISA.
I think you said on December 11th in front of the Senate that FBI's FISA applications relied entirely on Steele's and his primary subsource reporting to make allegations against Mr. Page.
Just to add, it was, to be precise, for the purpose of connecting Carter Page's alleged activities to Russia, to the Trump campaign. There was other information in there concerning Mr. Page not connected to the Trump campaign.
Did the FBI corroborate the allegations against Mr. Page?
The allegations on the FISA about his purported serving as an intermediary between Russia and the Trump campaign, they did not substantiate.
So again, 2 years ago on January 29, 2018, when Adam Schiff said the Department of Justice provided additional information obtained through multiple independent sources that corroborated Steele's reporting, that would be inaccurate as well.
As we noted in the report, they provided some information, mostly from public sourcing, that they found corroborated the reporting. What they did not find was corroboration for the allegations linking Mr. Page to Russia, to the Trump campaign.
Finally, let me ask this. Also 2 years ago, Mr. Schiff said the Department of Justice met the rigor, transparency, and evidentiary basis needed to meet FISA's probable cause requirement. Is that an accurate statement?
Given the nature and the number of omissions and inaccuracies in there, we certainly didn't characterize what they had done as following the rules or complying with the rigor that's required of a FISA application.
You not only didn't characterize it in the way Mr. Schiff portrayed it 2 years ago and stated in his memo, you said this: the IG report found 51 factual assertions in Carter Page's FISA applications that, quote, had no supporting documentation, supporting document doesn't state fact, or supporting document shows factual assertion is inaccurate. Is that right?
And that's my reference before to at least 17. There were many others that we have in our appendix that are supposed to be followed through the Woods procedures, which is the factual adequacy
understand.
review, that were not there. Some are significant, some are not so as significant, but there shouldn't be any.
One last question. Are there any other reports coming? What are you working on right
so
now in
we're-
this area?
Yeah,
In this
so
area.
we are doing a follow-up audit because one of the questions we had coming away from this was, did this happen only in
area.
Yeah,
In this
so
area.
we are doing a follow-up audit because one of the questions we had coming away from this was, did this happen only in this case?
Yep.
Or does the failures we heard about in the Woods procedures and that we saw in the Woods procedures infect other counterintelligence FISAs and something we hadn't looked at, counterterrorism-related FISAs? And so
Can you
we're-
give us a little preview of what you may be finding and when that report may be?
Thank you,
may be
Mr.
coming?
Horowitz. Gentleman's time is expired.